Nolan Wells' case has reached a point where one question is becoming harder to ignore. If this was simply an accident, why are so many details still unresolved? The phone, the timeline, the circumstances surrounding Nolan's final hours, and even the question of how he ended up in the water continue to leave major gaps.
So this could just be a drowning. I'm sitting down, and this could just be a drowning, and that's why they're looking at it that way, because nothing's told them it's but everything's not a crime. It doesn't have to be investigated as a crime.
You're still talking. We've already established that. Here's the other. You know what? I'm gonna let you think about what you just said.
It appears their friend may have stayed afterwards, and maybe a tragedy happened. Maybe something else happened that wasn't involving them.
A tragedy did happen.
6
Nolan
weeks.
Wells is dead, and I'm going to find out how. But I tell you what,
but you're talking about 6 weeks.
About why no
this is
polygraphs
isolated.
have been taken. I'm just
why?
very curious.
But why?
But
why?
Defense
For
lawyers
what?
wouldn't dream of letting their clients.
They're not suspects.
Let me get to
but
the phone.
Nancy, you're turning what's not a criminal investigation and want the trappings of one.
Stop it.
But when you talk about polygraphs.
Okay, yeah, just keep them just like that. Yeah, that's the way I like Morse. Don't hurt your head, Morse. Don't hurt your head.
What makes this case even more complicated is that several possibilities remain open. Maybe Nolan's death was an accident. Maybe something happened afterward that has not yet been explained. Or maybe crucial details are still missing from the timeline.
They're not hiding the phone. They just don't trust for the DA to have the phone alone without an independent investigation into the phone, someone who's not biased.
The family is afraid. Many people have seen injustice in other cases that have nothing to do with them. And I believe they fear evidence will be destroyed or mishandled, and it can never be recaptured. It's very possible it could never be recaptured.
The Jackson County DA's office, as well as our forensic team, and possibly the FBI, we're going to together download and examine the phone. So it's done one time with everybody together, right? This is very common in the law. This is what is supposed to happen. We are waiting for the DA to determine the time, the place, the date. Let us know, and we are going to be there with our forensics team and anybody else, but it's done one time, one examination. We're ready for it to happen.
The phone could be especially important because it may help establish communication, movements, and what happened during those final hours. But until it is properly examined, there is still a major piece of the puzzle sitting unanswered. And that brings us back to the biggest question. What actually happened to Nolan Wells?
Hey y'all, hey, I was tagged in a video from a reliable source that the 19th Circuit District DA office is no longer looking at the Nolan Wells case as an accidental drowning. However, they are now have moved on to looking at it into a criminal investigation, and I think that that is great news. I don't want to get too excited yet because I did go searching in the news outlets and things of that nature, Ben Crump and other people who have been keeping up with this case, and they have yet to mention that yet. So I don't want to get too excited, but the source is very reliable, and he is saying that his inside source has told him that this is what the DA office is now moving into, looking at it as a criminal investigation. I always say I want to be excited, y'all. I really do want to be excited. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. So I'm praying and I'm hopeful that, later this evening, hopefully something will pop up on the media, the news outlets to confirm.
Did ChatGPT just help me figure this case out? Let me show you something. Do not scroll away. I had ChatGPT design this diagram below. And what the diagram shows you is the void between these 4 people right here. You see, all 5 people. There's a void. Everybody's avoiding something on the floor right there. Why are they not? That's the largest space on the entire boat. Why is nobody standing in the biggest area of the boat? Why is everybody off to the side? If you look at the diagram, the red part shows Nolan's body. And if you look at the dude in the back, in the orange, I asked Google to tell me where that bilge pump is. And that's what he's doing in the back. He's over there messing with that bilge pump. And Wyatt right here is on the phone. Now listen to what I learned. Now, when Wyatt was on that phone call with the CETO company on the distress call, he says that the lady asked him, what is your GPS coordinates? Wyatt says, let me go look. So he had to have been over here with all the commotion going on, while he's over here messing with that bilge pump, Wyatt was over here, and he left from over here to go over here to check the coordinates. As you can see, he's on the phone right there where the coordinates is. And if you look at the diagram, you can literally see where Nolan's body could possibly be in this picture where you can't see it. Because I had them tell me what all of this means, what the space is called, and everything. So that space definitely can hold Nolan's body. And as you can see here, what the fuck are they avoiding? Why are they not standing right there? They're avoiding something. There's a whole void in between all these people. And that diagram shows you what's really going on in this picture.
It says camera and use. Okay, so I am at the Ocean Springs Front Beach Pier. Okay, this is where people dock their boats. This is where you bring your boat. Okay, so this is where the boat launch is. Check this out. When I tell you that this is allegedly one of their stops, and also the judge's parents' house is right here around the corner. All right, I'm gonna pan over here. Look at this beautiful, beautiful weather. Look at that. What's that? See that see that cop sitting right there?
The friends are on a PR, a PR blitz to change public opinion because they believe that they, in the court of public opinion, they're not doing so well, that they have been, sort of demeaned in some way, disparaged in some way.
I think it's weird. I think it's weird.
Yeah.
When Warren sat down with the guy, I know we don't like to say his name, sat down with him, I was like, okay, this one kid and his mom is a judge, and maybe he wants to sort of clear his name. But now every week, another friend sits down, or another friend sits down, and now they've got this lawyer, and they're sitting down and doing interviews. It's weird to me. And it's not just weird. There are people who are going to say things on the internet. Why does that rise to the level of you need an attorney to now sit down and do interviews to publicize yourself, to try and change the court of public opinion? Why do you care about a court of public opinion? Because you didn't do anything. And ultimately, if you didn't do anything, and maybe they didn't, let's take them at their word and their attorney that they didn't have anything to do with Nolan's death. That's all going to come out when the results of the autopsy come out, when the investigation comes out. So why are you now getting? It's almost like I get like this attorney has probably convinced them, yes, do this and talk about this and it'll change public opinion. But what it really does, it makes some people will look at it and go like, well, what are you getting out in front of? If you didn't do anything, there's nothing to get out in front of. So in some ways it can backfire on you. It's just weird to me. And then you also run the risk of what did happen is that one of these kids sits down and blasts Nolan's mom and says that she was wrong to put out that photo. And that's not going to play well in the public for you, man. That you're attacking the mother of your best friend, who you're so distraught about losing him, yet you're doing an interview where you're attacking his mom.
Yeah.
It's just stupid. The old saying is, anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law, but also in the court of public opinion. And so I don't get why they're doing all these.
Greg Morris, let me throw another question at you. And look, I'm not wearing a prosecution or a defense hat. As you know, I'm a crime victim. I would say I'm coming at it from that angle. But I was very disturbed, Greg, when I got wind that there is no criminal investigation. It's been said over and over and over. Why not? We don't know how he died. For instance, if he did have water in his lungs, okay, maybe he did drown. But how did he get in the water? Did he fall in the water? Was somebody, wrestling with him in the water and they held him down? They went, oh, my stars, I killed him and left? Did he hit his head?
Well,
I mean, there's a lot more to it than saying, oh, yeah, he drowned. How can someone state there is no criminal investigation. I understand a grand jury is about to be convened. That doesn't mean there's a crime, but doesn't that suggest to you a grand jury inside the Superior Courthouse, inside the district attorney's office, would suggest there is a criminal investigation?
Well, it would potentially lead someone to believe that, yeah, a criminal investigation was undergoing. However, when we look at how this has played out over the last 6 weeks, how law enforcement has acted, they haven't seized Nolan Wells' phone at this point. In a criminal investigation, law enforcement's going to use those tools to get this information. So this could just be a drowning. I'm sitting down, and this could just be a drowning. And that's why they're looking at it that way, because nothing's told them it's
yet.
But everything's not a crime. It doesn't have to be investigated as a crime.
You're still talking. We've already established that. Here's the other, you know what? I'm going to let you think about what you just said. I'm going to go to Jeff Shetler joining us.
I'm here for a Nolan Xavier Wells update. And, excuse me, everybody is now pointing out that Charles and TMZ are now backpedaling on everything they said, because Charles was recently being interviewed, and I think it was by Don Lemon, and he's like, yeah, it's odd that they're going off on Officer Race Batum Tatum's podcast. It's odd that they did this. It's odd that they did that. But TMZ, you have been the ones supporting these young men's PR crusade this entire time. So why now are you finally flip-flopping? Is it because all of the backlash you've been getting for reporting on this so incorrectly and favoring one side over the other? Because every time Harvey was on there, he said, oh yeah, we've corroborated the footage with them on the CTO call. And then when Trent Out Loud, shout out to
Trent
my man says Trent Out Loud. Trent Out Loud said, where is the metadata? Where is the META? Where is the META, son? We need to see it all day, son. Where is it? Where's the metadata? And Harvey's like, oh yeah, we just believe them. So I'm glad TMZ is backpedaling, but you guys should have been on this from day one, because one thing about TMZ, we all respected you on that celebrity tip for always like, why are you guys even using Officer Race Batum's video with his bug on it, his logo? I've never seen TMZ rock anybody else's video. They always have the TMZ bug on their videos, so do better, TMZ.
These acquaintances that went out on the beach, I'm not razor locked on them. I'm looking at them. I'm looking at everybody. Who are these two witnesses? If they are telling the truth, that Nolan Wells was on Horn Island at either 5 or 6 o'clock, then the acquaintances on the Triton are in the clear, because Morse, I know based on their GPS what time they left the island. So we have to keep our minds open as to what, who, what, where, why, the whole shebang. We can't lock in on those acquaintances if they had already left and he's still on the island. Is that true? I don't know. But it could be, right? Many an investigation has failed because the prosecutor did not keep their mind open as to potential suspects, right?
Well, that's 100% right. You know, the police have to keep an open mind. Here, it's not even a criminal investigation. So 6 weeks approximately has gone by. The folks that were on the boat with Nolan, nothing has come out even remotely to indicate they were involved in some foul play at this point at all. They're just people that went out to this island with their friend. It appears their friend may have stayed afterwards, and, you know, maybe a tragedy happened. Maybe something else happened that wasn't involving them.
A tragedy did happen.
6
Nolan
weeks.
Wells is dead, and I'm going to find out how. But I tell you what,
but you're talking about
am
6 weeks.
About
this is
why no
this is
polygraphs
isolated.
have been taken. I'm just
Why?
very curious.
But why?
But many
Why?
defense
For
lawyers
what?
wouldn't dream of letting their
They're
client
not
take calls.
suspects.
Let me get to
But
the phone.
Nancy, you're turning
Dear Lord.
what's not a
Of course they're
criminal
not suspects. You
investigation
said that
and
10
want the
times. You're
trappings
wasting
of
my time.
one.
Stop it.
But when you talk about
I see
polygraph,
his lips moving. I hear. Okay, yeah, just keep him just like that. Yeah, that's the way I like Morse.
Nolan Wells would have been 19 years old, and now the family is being accused of wrongdoing because they haven't turned over the cell phone?
The family is now seemingly being accused of wrongdoing
because they haven't handed the phone over.
July 15th, the attorney for the parents of Nolan met and said, yes, we want to give over the phone, but we want someone in the middle here, someone from the outside, an expert to analyze the phone. It appeared everyone agreed. Then all of a sudden they get a letter saying, we want the phone and you have 24 hours to send it over. The DA sent that. And the parents were out of town and said, wait, we don't have the time to do that. Hence the narrative that they're not cooperating. Now they say, Nolan's parents, look, we have our experts on standby. This week, pick it.
Now, I don't see anything wrong with them wanting to hand over the phone when everybody can get the same results from it at the same time. Because, I mean, look what happened to his autopsy. And again, this is a family that's only trying to seek justice. It's not like they out there trying to get some money in return. The autopsy was inconclusive because the state didn't send all his remains. What you think might happen if they give up their phone and they're not there? I'm really hoping that we get some answers to this story real soon.
For now, the evidence needs to speak louder than speculation. The timeline needs to be examined from beginning to end. Every inconsistency needs to be addressed, and the unanswered questions need real explanations. Because this story isn't about choosing a side, it's about finding out what happened.